Google Pixel Fold, oh yeah, I read this, is going to have a bigger battery than the Z Fold 4. Both a blessing and a curse. Well, this is easy to understand. These devices have not been the best battery performers, and the reason being you have this enormous display with high specs on it. Nice resolution. You want to utilize all that beautiful brightness to diminish the look of the crease on there, and also just because it looks so good. But comes at the expense of battery life. Plus, you're running out of some space because the front side of it, if you think about it, you can't really slap a battery in there because you got another display. It's back-to-back displays. So you end up with something that, maybe you're missing kind of the confidence you have being away from the wall socket that you would have with like just a regular flagship phone. It's possible. But at the same time, I think you're willing to make the trade-off because you're like, well, I open it up and it's basically a tablet. Anyhow, one way to mitigate that is just bigger battery, right? But I can imagine the downside here is going to be weight, because that's the other problem with these is they're hefty. They're hefty. You know what they're like? You ever had the Klondike ice cream sandwich?
Yeah. It's solid.
You know what I'm talking about? It's fat. That's what happens with these ones. These become Klondikes.
They're like two phones put together, really.
You might say they're two phones put together.
Yeah.
You might say it. But we also know that the Pixel folding device is going to be, I had the case on my desk for a while here, is going to be a similar form factor to the Oppo Find N, which is like a sort of like more squat, squarish type of thing,
sure.
Less slender and tall. So I don't know, does that open up possibilities, or does the whole thing just have to be fatter, but because it's a little bit smaller or the way you hold it is different, maybe the balance feels different even though it's heavier? I don't know. I mean, this is all speculation at the moment. I suppose the question could be pitched to the audience here. What would you prefer to prioritize? Would you want a lighter weight experience when you have the device unfolded, or would you want to have more battery life so you have to worry about it less? I think that when you're in there in the engineering department over there, the design department, I think that's a tough one to decide on.
But it does look nice.
This render over here?
Yeah.
Shape? Well, let's be honest. It's kind of like this guy. It's like as if you took. They kept the language with their visor. They're sticking with that visor there. Will, I'm gonna hold up my visor over here. See the visor? The Tron / Daft Punk kind of look and carrying it through the whole lineup. I don't mind it when you have that kind of cohesive ID to it. Like people know, oh, that's a Pixel. Yeah. And that's harder and harder to do in 2023.
Sure.
To immediately identify what is that thing. Samsung's kind of doing it with their camera units. Obviously, we saw the leaks for the upcoming iPhone with the enormous camera units. Anyway, so just some specs on this particular device. No exact details about the Pixel Fold's battery capacity have been shared thus far, but we're hearing that the figure will still be below the 5,000. So how much bigger can it really? I mean, what does the other guy have? 4,500? Somewhere in between the two. Even the very best foldable has prioritized thin designs over impressive battery life. Yes, correct. I have personal experience with this. The Pixel Fold model looks to have a shorter, wider screen than the Z Fold 4, offering 5.79-inch cover display, which could be easier to use with one hand, and a widescreen landscape 7.67-inch main foldable display. Now, I don't know easier or harder. It depends, because with the slender model, it's your confidence in holding it is good when you go taller, but you can't. It's hard for the thumb to reach the top edge of it. This one here, in its folded state, it's going to be a little tougher to reach all the way across it, but the top portion is not as far away. So I don't know. I liked the balance on the Find N, because when you're holding it in its unfolded state, it's less top heavy. Where your grip is closer to the top edge of the display, so the weight distribution feels quite a bit different.
It just looks nicer too. Like it's a nice shape because I guess it's more square. Yeah.
It just looks nicer too.
Yeah.
And if they do the fancy hinge stuff that Oppo was able to do, then that hinge just the crease just melts away.
Yeah.
So Lots to look forward to. The folding phone. And now that we'll have another like real option, major player, because I tried with the Fine. And I was like, oh my goodness, software bonanza.
Yeah.
It was a software bonanza. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the things I should probably, like, full disclaimer, we talk about a lot of phones on the channel. And one thing that often goes overlooked because it is a global audience is like, how is this going to be in my region? As much as you might like the hardware. Truth be told, there's a lot of really awesome devices you would love to have and use in, say, North America that really aren't a good fit for other regional carrier-related issues and possibly software-related issues.